Today we're going over Alien Gear versus Safariland duty holsters. If you told me 5 years ago that I would be comparing Alien Gear to Safariland, I would probably call you crazy because I wasn't the biggest fan of Alien Gear to start with. But after using this duty holster for about a year now, I have to say I'm very impressed, and the results of this video will probably surprise you. So with that being said, there are 7 different categories I chose from, and I compared them. I have used both of these extensively. I carry the Safariland holster every day with me at work, and I've used this particular one for about 2 years. The Alien Gear holster I use for SRT, and I have carried this one and used this on my personal duty belt for testing products and everything out at the range and what I do for about a year now. So I have used both of these for a long time. I wanted to make sure I did this video correctly. I really wanted to make sure I put a lot of time in testing these products and using them often before I made a video on this. I feel like I now have enough time behind these and use these enough to give you a good idea of what I think of them and to compare them really well. So let's get right into the comparison and go over the 7 different ways that we compare these and find out which one is the best one for you. So let's go over number 1. So the very first thing you're going to see with these and notice is the look and finish of these holsters, and to decide which one you like best and what's aesthetically pleasing to you, and what's going to win that one is going to be Safariland. I think this is a much more professional looking holster. I think it looks cleaner. The Alien Gear almost looks like it would work for like a Nerf gun. It's a little bit more, I guess maybe futuristic-y looking and maybe more childish looking in my mind. I think the Safariland looks much better on a duty belt and a uniform, but this one is going to be personal preference because everyone has different opinions, but I'm going to give a point to the Safariland. Number 2 is going to be durability. Now this was one that I really wanted to test, and that's one of the big reasons I didn't get this video out earlier, is because I wanted to make sure I got the durability part done right. So the Safariland I carry daily, like I said, and I have beat the crap out of this holster. As you can tell, there's a lot of scrapes, dents, dings on this holster, and this thing keeps on ticking. Same thing for the Alien Gear. I've done a lot of personal training. I've actually done class with this holster and a lot of testing and durability stuff with this one as well. And with all that being said, I'm going to give this one a tie, because with the time I've had with both of these and all the stuff I've done to them, I have not been able to break or damage anything on them. They have been very durable holsters for me, and I'm going to give them both an A+ on that, because I have not been able to break either of these. And as you guys know, I'm not very nice to my products. I use them as tools. That's what they are, and I treat them as such. I obviously take care of my stuff, but I want to test these to be able to tell you which one is better and maybe which one isn't as durable. I personally thought the Alien Gear wouldn't be that durable just because of the way it looks. I was like, man, maybe that one's going to be a little bit more flexible, or it might break a little bit easier, but I have not been able to do anything to break anything off of it, and same can be said for the Safariland. So both of these are going to tie on this one. Number 3 is going to be design and function. These are both level 3 holsters, so they're going to be very similar. They both have a hood, which you would flip up like this, and then you'd press this lever and you'd be able to pull out your firearm. So they both have a very similar design. I will show you here the Alien Gear. This one has a much larger button you press, and that brings your hood down, and then you pull down on this lever and your gun comes out. So which one is easier? Which one functions better? Which one's design is better? I'm going to give this one to Alien Gear because this one functions and is so much smoother, and I am consistently a lot quicker at drawing. So the downside of what I've noticed with the Safariland is everything is manual. So when you go to push down, you have to push straight down, and then you have to push forward. So there's 2 movements there, down and forward, and then you have to find this little bar or this little lever, which is a lot smaller, pull that down and pull up. Personally, don't have a lot of issues with that because I train a ton with this. I constantly do dry fire with this, so I'm very comfortable with this, and I would say I've gotten fairly quick and consistent with it. But what I noticed is right when I got this out of the package and started using it, I was already quicker and more consistent than the Safariland because of how easy this is. So the button right here is very large, very easy to press. Everything is just dumbed down almost. It's just so much easier to use. You press down and that automatically flips your hood out of the way. So it's just 1 movement opposed to 2 where you're pushing down and forward. This one you just push down on this giant bar, brings your hood out of the way. Then from there you just bring it down, and it's just a swiping motion. You just have to flick this giant lever opposed to this smaller lever right here. As you can see, there's a big difference in the size of these. I'll make sure to do some B-roll of showing these side by side, but you just flick down on this and then your firearm comes out. So it is a much more consistent and quicker functioning holster than the Safariland. So Alien Gear is going to get the point for this one. Number 4 is going to be price. So this weighs a little bit heavier on the alien gear side because it's just a tad cheaper, but these are very comparably priced. They're right there in that same market of around $200. So it's hard to say like absolutely alien gear go to just because it's like $50 to $100 cheaper, because it's not. It's like 10, 20, maybe $30 cheaper than the Safariland. So it is cheaper, but not by much. They're very similar priced. Number 5 is going to be, do they have a quick detach system? And the answer is yes, they both do. These are very similar in the sense that they clip on and then you can clip them off and rotate them, but they're very different in the way they actually work. So most of you are very familiar with the QLS system. It's something that is very trusted and true, and have used it for a long time. It's very easy. You have a female and a male and it just clicks in. And then you take these 2 prongs, you squish them together and you pull it out. I have used this for multiple years, not just on my duty belt, but on other belts, because I like to rotate holsters a lot, and QLS is what I usually choose, and it's been very durable for me. This system, as I've never had any personal problems, it just seems a little less durable. So you have the option to quick detach these, so that's a tie. But if I were to choose one personally, which one I think is better and more durable, I would probably choose the QLS, just because the design seems a little bit more robust and less options to fail than the alien gear. Again, I've never actually personally had any problems, but if I were to say which one would have more problems, I would probably say the alien gear would, and I would probably choose the QLS over it. Number 6 is going to be the gun fit, and this is going to have 2 parts to it. So the first part is what guns actually fit and how well do they fit, and the second part is going to be the rattle or the shake, and which one fits the holster better and is a little bit more secure. So the very first one is going to be the gun fits and the options. So with the Safariland holster, you are really limited to what you order. There are some multiple different flashlights that fit in like one. So if you go with the certain flashlight, you can fit like the stream light and the O light. So a couple different options fit, but the alien gear takes the cake on this one, because you are able to fit almost all flashlights on this as long as it's a full-size flashlight and don't have any problems. So this one, you have to buy specific if you want Surefire, you have to buy specific if you want Streamlight, and then so on and so forth. The alien gear, you can just buy the flashlight rated one and all your flashlights are gonna fit in it. All the flashlights I personally use all work in here. I've not had any issues. If you personally have had any issues, please let me know. I'd like to know what flashlights don't work, but it has a long list of flashlights that work on their website. So there's more options with this one if you want to switch. For example, if you were to start with a Streamlight and then you decided I wanna go to a Surefire X300, you would have to buy a complete new holster with the Safariland, but with the alien gear, you would not have to. It all works in the same holster. The next thing, and that's really big in my mind, is the Safariland. If you want to go with an optic and you don't have the optics cut, you're going to have to buy a whole new holster and go with the optics cut. For the alien gear, you don't have to worry about that. Your optic can fit no problem with this. So if you are running a gun that doesn't have an optic, it's not a problem. If you're running a gun with an optic, it's not a problem. So it will fit both optic and not optic options. Now what's cool too is you can also go with the hooded option if you have an optic that's not enclosed and you want it to be more protected. If you're working on the road and you don't want any debris or stuff on it, you can go with a hooded option as well. And again, it works with non-optics as well. You just have a larger hood on it. So this one fits more options on your gun. So if you want to go with different lights or different optics, you can really just run one holster and run different guns. This one is a little bit more firearm specific on what you choose. The next part to this is, how does the gun fit in the holster? And this is also important for those of you that work on the road or don't necessarily want to make a ton of noise. So there's always going to be a little bit of play in these holsters. They're not perfectly snug just because of the design. And due to the actual material, I think Safariland is going to take this one. So to give you an example, this is what this sounds like here. It's more of a muffled sound because of the material that's used. And here is what the alien gear sounds like. It's more of a plasticky sound. So in my mind, the alien gear sounds much better. So now to give you an idea of what it would sound like while you're walking or running, I'm gonna shake both of these and see how it sounds. So for your Safariland, if you're going up and down, and then for your alien gear. It's hard to tell, I don't know what the mic's doing with the sound, but the alien gear just has a little bit more of a louder noise. The Safariland seems more muffled. So now for a side-to-side shake, not a ton with the Safariland, a little bit more with the alien gear. They're pretty comparable. I mean, they're both gonna have that rattle, they're both gonna have that shake, but it seems to fit a little bit better and a little more snug and more muffled in the Safariland. So now number 7, and probably the least important, but it is something I wanted to make note of, and that's gonna be the ease of order. Safariland's website is actually a disaster and really annoying to find a holster. When I went to order these, I had to actually just contact a sales rep and figure out the number system because it's a little bit more annoying to order off of Safariland. Alien gear, it's fairly simple. You just have some drop down things and you say left or right handed, you say is it light bearing or not light bearing, and then you pick your gun. And it's pretty simple, and hood or no hood. So Alien Gear definitely wins that one. It's a lot easier to actually order if you're looking for yourself. So those are the 7 different things I wanted to compare and help you decide which one maybe is better for you. There's a couple more key points that I wanted to mention real quick. One of them being Safariland has been used for years and years by law enforcement, military, and a lot of different people. These things have been trusted and they are very, very proven. So there's a reason these are used by so many different people and trusted, is because it's a great product and it works really well. Alien Gear duty holster is fairly new and doesn't have near the time span of durability and testing as a Safariland does. So always keep that in the back of your mind, but you always have to give new products a shot because it's something new and you can't get to the level of trust without actually using it for years. So I definitely think it is a very good comparison between these two. Next thing to mention is obviously the fact that the Alien Gear, you can just rotate different guns, different optics, different flashlights, and just have to have one holster opposed to buying different holsters. So those are the 2 key points that I think you should really think about when choosing these. One's true and trusted, one has a lot more options and a little bit more easy to rotate different options opposed to having just to stick with one thing if you want to, not having to buy a new holster because this works for a lot more setups. All in all, both of these holsters are a great option to go with. They both, I think, have a lot of really good options, and it's really gonna come down to what you personally like and which one you think's best for you. I like to see that companies like Alien Gear are coming up here and trying to take over the space because that's gonna create more innovation from Safariland. Safariland's kind of been the king for so long. There really wasn't a ton of other options to choose from if you wanted a really good level 3. It was just kind of like, okay, if you want a level 3, go with Safariland. That's just the option. So it's really cool to see companies like Alien Gear coming up here and giving a little competition and maybe make them put a little more innovation in their holster. So I'm excited to see that. I like to see when companies really try to compete and make things better and improve. What I don't like to see is people getting complacent and being like, okay, well, we're the best and we're gonna stick that way because we don't care and we're not gonna change. I like to see people trying to fight for that spot and continue to change and upgrade their product and make it better. With all that being said, hopefully this video is able to help you make a better purchase decision, because as always, my goal is to help you spend your money in the best way possible so you don't have to waste money and spend it more on something maybe you didn't want or need. If you want to help support the channel and the things I do here, there's a couple ways to do that down in the description, or some discount codes from companies that I trust and you can save some money from. And there's a link to my link tree where you can go to companies like Premier Body Armor, Brownells. Anything you purchase using those links does help out the channel, and I appreciate that. A couple of companies that support me and the things I do here: Howitzer, Brownells, and Hold Up Displays. Howitzer is a clothing brand that donates 5% of proceeds to charity, and they help collaborate with these awesome shirts. I'll show you guys me and my brother doing a little modeling for you. I'd love to see you guys pick some of these shirts up and wear them. There's a link in the description if you want to pick one up for yourself. Brownells is a company that supports me a ton and has helped me, and I couldn't do a lot of this without them. You can use code TA10 to save on orders of $150 or more, and that helps a lot when you're building guns like this, and you can just save here and there. You know, say you spend $2,000 on a project, that's $200 you can save to put towards something else like a flashlight or an optic, or maybe start another build, which would be awesome. And then Hold Up Display is a company that supports me a ton with these awesome mounts and makes this vault room so cool. If you guys are interested in the video for the vault room, click there, and I appreciate them a ton. Other than that, guys, thank you so much, and I appreciate all of you.